The following production is intended for entertainment purposes only. We are not legal professionals. We do not speak for any government agency, and the opinions expressed here are our own. Relax.
Well, well, well.
well.
Yeah, dude.
What's up, buddy?
What's up, dude?
No, man, not a lot. I'm gonna be real honest with you, man. I didn't.
Yeah, go ahead.
I did not expect to see you in a beret and jean jacket today.
Well,
I don't know why I didn't expect that, but
I was really trying to be swinging my kettlebell by the time the camera came on, but I had to stop it and hit accept in order for my camera to come on.
what? Tell me about that, man. Tell me about your ensemble. Oh, also, hello.
Hello, adios, or hola, not adios.
Yeah.
This is that cruise. I've referenced it a few times.
Yeah. You have.
This is that cruise jacket.
Now that was issued.
No. I paid for this. Like I said, it was something that either new guys, like kind of new nerds, get, or guys who are about to retire. And I was a new nerd. That's what I was.
Okay.
But I had to take a patch off. I had to take a patch off because it was slightly offensive, but I got a new patch to replace it, and it's my Riverine Squadron 2 patch.
Yeah.
As soon as I find a sewing machine, I'm all about it.
Okay, so give me a rundown of how that jean jacket is acquired, when it's worn, how it's worn. Like, give me the history of that jean jacket.
Gladly. So 2004. Oh, wait a second.
Okay.
All right.
Is that embroidered, or is that like iron on?
Hell yes, it is. That's embroidered.
Damn, son, you have got a lot of embroidery on that jacket.
Yep.
Heavy embroidery.
There's a very nice, I'm sure, Filipino lady doing it that works for the Navy Exchange. That's not hyperbole. If you go to the Navy Exchange anywhere in the world, U.S. Navy Exchange, there is going to be a Filipino woman inside there. And she will be married to a service member who's probably about to retire. And she's a master with the sewing machine. She can cut hair. She can do it all.
Yeah.
And every single Navy Exchange all around the world has those. The only exception was in Afghanistan. Well, those weren't Navy Exchanges. Those were just PXs. Oh, no, there's Navy Exchanges there, too. They are Kyrgyzstani. Instead of the Filipino lady in Afghanistan, it was Kyrgyzstani ladies. But same thing. Take care of you. What do you need? You need a haircut? You need some Liberty patches inside your jacket? What do you need? She's got it.
Got it. Okay. So yeah, you're a brand new nerd. You're like, I want one of those jackets.
Damn, son, these jackets look nice. We are early on in the 04 deployment on the USS George Washington. And
did it come just as like a naked jean jacket?
What it was is there was a man there, and this is going to be really dating, but I used my credit card to pay for this. And how I used my credit card was they had to slide it over that carbon paper.
Yeah, man.
To get my credit card information on it.
Okay.
There was a desk on the forward mess decks. So you understand what I'm saying when I say a mess deck, where you eat?
Yeah.
Okay. In the Navy and on ships, they're called mess decks. And on a Nimitz class aircraft carrier, there's like 2.5, kind of 3 mess decks. There's a forward and aft main mess deck, and there's some space to sit and eat in the middle of the, like between the 2 in front, or the 4 and aft. But it's like sometimes there's a sandwich bar there, or like a spaghetti bar, but it's not dedicated place to eat. Because we also have a weapons elevator that's on that deck, and so we got to tie it off sometimes to move weapons. So there's a guy on the forward mess deck, and he's at a table with a couple of these big catalogs. He's selling cruise rings, and he think of like a Johnson's high school ring.
Is he a sailor or just a?
He's a civilian out there working for the Navy Exchange, and he's
Okay.
got this table with all these, and this is in 2004, all these binders that have like all these rings and jackets and yada yada yada, and he's got a couple of them up on display on the wall behind him. And
Okay.
I'm gonna take this. Someone might get a little butthurt about that. Wait 1 second. So, I'm walking through the Ford mess decks and I see this pretty kick-ass jean jacket up there on display, and I was thinking, gotta get me one of them. And so it comes as like a clean slate. You start off, imagine yeah, on the page, on the flip book, it has just a clean jacket, and you can pick. They're
You
not
get-
all
You get to customize your flair.
your
Okay.
fit. Yeah, you get to I don't know what the word is. You get to pick your fit. There's like the jean jackets, there's these leather jackets, there's these kind of high school Letterman-y jackets, there's these biker style jackets, there's cowboy Carhartt. Well, Carhartt wasn't really a thing back then, but like cowboy trench coats, they're playing to everyone. They're giving everyone an option. And I saw the jean jacket and I was like, now you're talking to me. I'm a jean jacket kind of dude.
Yeah, speaking right to you.
Yeah. And so I super long story short, this is getting real boring. I picked out the jacket and picked out the patches, and like I think it might have been 6 months later, like by the time I got back from that deployment, it was there waiting for me at the next to pick up.
Yeah.
The NEX.
Okay. So tell me about the beret.
Oh, man, I'm gonna get in trouble. I want to say it was 1969, but it was in the 60s. U.S. Navy Riverines were working pretty tightly with South Vietnamese Recondo, their special forces. Like, we were the water taxis for every unit, but specifically the South Vietnamese special forces Riverines had built a pretty tight relationship with. Well, they all wore black berets, the South Vietnamese guys. And so the Riverines started wearing berets to the point where like they were wearing it in formation, even with their dress whites on, because they were pretty proud of their berets that they had gotten.
Right.
And so I want to say it was in 69. It might be 65. I had to memorize that for a board I went to, but the Secretary of the Navy signed a thing that said Riverines and Riverines only are authorized to wear the black beret. And so, that's expired, or that has expired. Like, it's not applicable. There are no Riverines anymore, but like when the Riverines did come back and I was a Riverine, it wasn't technically applicable to us, but we carried the tradition and had berets. This one has my old commands patch on it.
Nice.
And so like it was used as like an award when I was there in Ardad. It was kind of sorta. You could buy one also. You could buy one a couple years ago after the Riverines had been decommissioned. There's this scandal that's still afoot, and it's pretty much just some guy got a lot of people's money that we used to work with. There's a Facebook group of ours, like, that's kind of hidden or whatever, not public Facebook group of ours. And some guy, I'm obviously not going to say his name, but some guy was like, "Hey, I'm selling patches and shirts and berets if anybody wants some." I had already had one, so I had no part of this, but I watched it happen. A bunch of guys were like, "Yeah, I want a beret. I want a beret. I want a shirt. I want the coffee cup. I want yada yada." Well, so I haven't talked to him about this, and I don't know exactly his side, but the story is there wasn't enough orders to pay for everything, but people had already paid. But there
Right.
wasn't enough orders to pay for everything, so the order wasn't fulfilled. Like it hadn't met
The
the
yeah.
minimum numbers, and allegedly, and I say this just by reading the comments and listening to the butthurt fellas, some of the guys didn't get their money back
Yeah.
that had paid. And so there's still some hurt feelings about that.
Yeah. I've seen that sort of thing happen before. It sucks.
Of course. Of course.
Yeah. Well, so other than a bitchin' outfit, what else you got going on?
Nothing. I'm probably gonna slowly take this off. I just wanted to wear it to come on and rock and roll a little bit.
Yeah, well, you did.
Yeah.
You came on and made a statement right off the bat, which I appreciate.
Yeah, that's how I like to
Kick in the door and see what happens.
Yeah. Kool-Aid.
So yeah, what's new?
Oh, nothing. I mean, lots of stuff, but we're looking at possibly making a move again, and we're probably gonna, as a family, we're probably gonna make a move again.
Yeah.
Next
To where?
Yeah, next year to southern Alabama, to around the
Sweet
Gulf, like
home.
pretty much right on the Gulf.
Yep.
The Gulf area. There's like there's like Destin, Pensacola, Mobile, Pascagoula, and New Orleans. There's a bunch of like biggish Gulf towns all right by each other that kind of arc in that Gulf area, and they're all pretty nice towns.
Yep.
And we're looking at them, looking to make a move.
You ever lived out that way?
I've been down there a bit. My A school in the Navy was in Pensacola, so I was out there for that, but I wasn't going around sightseeing, and that was in 2003. But my A school was down there in Pensacola. I had been to Gulfport, Mississippi, which is right by Pascagoula. Do you know where any of these towns are?
No.
Okay. They're just Gulf cities. Like I said, I was in Gulfport a few different times for the Navy. That's pretty much it as far as like any substantial time. My family and I had a weekend trip down there a little bit ago, and we had a blast. It's great. It's very unpopulated. I mean, I don't think the 20 of our listeners are going to spread make too much damage.
Don't tell anyone about this.
Don't tell anyone about this place. But it's pretty unpopulated, and it seems like a pretty nice kept secret.
Yeah.
Like it's yeah, they're like, you got that feel. They're like, A, who are you? What are you doing here? And B, don't tell anyone about this place.
Yeah.
Whenever you come in there. But it's just nice, charming, like Gulf Southern restaurants and older housing, a lot affordable living. Like the cost of housing is about 40% cheaper on average than where I am now in
Wow.
North Georgia. Yeah. So I mean, after the education I've gotten over the last, I don't know, some time of owning my own businesses, you have to make some decisions. And the two of the biggest decisions two of the biggest, I guess, factors that you grapple with is your input and output. And so you want to obviously be as successful as you can. If I'm like, what I'm getting to is I run my family's finances like I'm running a business, like I'm trying to run a successful business. I have input that comes in. My output has to absolutely be less than my input, or else it's just not possible. And when we moved from Kansas to North Georgia, the cost of living went up pretty substantially. And so, but the input didn't change. We had the same input from Kansas as we did whenever we moved out here. So we had to tighten the belt a little bit. And
Right.
since then, I've had some ventures, done some things. Some of those things just didn't work out, and that's okay. Like there's no use of me to keep trying to spin my wheels. Some of those things didn't come out. So I have to now try to control my output. Or like since my input didn't go up as much as I wanted,
Yeah.
I have to now control my output. For us to have the same and maybe even a better living situation, but at least the same, I have to go somewhere where the cost of living is a little bit lower. And so that's what we're doing. And we're taking our time. Like I'm not trying to rush into this. I'm not trying to just load up. We're checking a few places out. We're going there and seeing how it feels. And it's not just me. I want to know how it feels to the kids. Like, it doesn't snow here. Are you guys okay with that? There's not going to be any snow.
Yeah.
And we got storms. Sometimes we're going to have to leave.
Now, you guys, you don't get any snow in Atlanta, do you?
It hasn't happened since I've been here, but they say it happens. There's been some flurries that I've never seen snow land here. I've never seen it actually touch the ground.
Yeah.
Like it's just very small, flaky rain.
I think it was maybe within the past 5 years or so. They had some snow out there that, like my brother got stranded on the highway, I want to say for like 22 hours. Like it was a major
Insane.
deal, but it was for very little snow. Like it was very little accumulation, but like they were legit just stuck on the highway going nowhere for a crazy amount of time.
Right. I heard about that particular snowstorm, like the one that had happened 4 or so years, because that was just a year or so before I moved here, or
Okay.
a couple,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
a couple years before I moved here. I had heard a lot about that snowstorm, but I grew up a little bit latitudinally north of here in East Tennessee. From 13 to 18, I spent my teenage years in East Tennessee, and I'll tell you, like Midwesterners love to give Southerners a hard time about snow because it will bring everything to a complete halt here. Like South just cannot handle snow. But in East Tennessee, it gets a little bit colder there, and they actually get snow every year. And Atlanta's in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains, so the same mountain chain of the Smokies. There's roads that go in the whole towns that are in the shadows of these hills and mountains. And so, like, if there is sun, it's maybe for an hour on these roads, and then it's right back to shadow. So what you get a lot of is like just compact ice, like the snow turns into ice and it doesn't melt. Or if it does melt, it freezes right back again.
Yeah.
And so just a little bit of snow is pretty dangerous. And these aren't straight roads. These roads are twisty, curvy everywhere.
Yeah.
In East Tennessee. Here in my part, we're still, like I said, at the foothills of the Appalachians. It's still hilly around here, but if the roads were frozen, it'd be tough. And like I've complained about the driving on here before, but it's worth mentioning again. People drive scary, ridiculous around here. Like they're just bad drivers.
Yeah.
And I've looked in and judged every single person that I've had the opportunity to do that. I don't want to race up and check on, but I've judged a lot of folks, and it's not. I was surprised every single time because I'm expecting to see someone on their cell phone or someone putting makeup on or something like that. I'm expecting to see. It's an old white guy in glasses every single time, or an old lady. And I'm like, lady, you've been here for so long. How dare you?
Have you not figured it out yet?
Well, I just want to say, like, shame on you. Shame.
I used to tell people on a fairly regular basis how offensive their driving was. Like I'd walk up, I'm Sergeant Craft from Citrus County Sheriff's Office. Reason I'm stopping today is your driving is offensive. It literally is the worst I've ever seen. Is there a reason for that? Like this is terrible. Do you know how to drive?
You said
Or
stuff like this?
oh yeah, all the time. Or I'd be like, well, I can tell you what you're not doing is driving. So what are you doing? What's going on up here? And they would generally say, I don't know.
Did you ever stop very many people for being on their cell phone?
No.
I stopped
No.
a hand. I like that wasn't a common stop of mine, but if I saw someone on their cell phone, I'd stop them.
Yeah.
And I didn't have it in my mind that I was going to give them a ticket every time, but that is dangerous. That's super dangerous. You're literally taking your eyes off of where you're driving.
I mean, I
And-
can't comment on that without being a complete hypocrite, but
And
sometimes
everyone does.
dude, sometimes I'll catch myself like, what am I doing?
So that's why I had it in my mind of a little built-in grace. Like, I'm going to stop this guy and I'm going to chew him, but I'm not going to give him a ticket.
Yeah.
And I got this defense more than half the time. I'd see someone like on their phone driving, and I'd say, "Hey man, or sir, ma'am, I saw you texting on your phone. Like, I put eyes on you while you were looking at your screen and texting instead of driving." They're like, "Oh, I wasn't texting." I'm like, "Okay." They're like, "I was video chatting with my mother," and they'd show me their mom on the phone. I'd be like, "Put that phone away. What are we doing?"
Yeah.
So you think that's better? And I would still write them the ticket. And I asked a few traffic ADAs a few times if that would hold up, and they're like, I could see some holes in that. Like, it'd be better if you could get them to admit to texting. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
That's not going to change.
It'd be better if you guys just enforced the laws. That would make things a lot easier.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, that was one of the reasons why I never really, I didn't really care, but B, I never pursued it, because how are you going to prove that someone was texting and not looking, not pulling up a map or not looking at a weather advisory or whatever excuse you could come up with? It'd be easily defendable.
Yeah. Oh, no, sir, I wasn't texting. I got a notification and I just pulled up my phone to see it, and I put it right back down.
Yeah.
And I even put it right here where I could keep my eyes on the road somewhat.
So I was going to ask, the other day, might have been a week ago or so, but I'm sure it happens every day. I was driving down Kellogg, about at I-135, and I just see this car, like he's in Need for Speed or something, Tokyo Drift. I mean, he's just flying all over the place, zipping around. And I thought to myself, I'm surprised we don't have more serious injury accidents. Like, just think about on a daily basis the number of idiots. You talk about people that can't drive out there or anywhere. Like, the number of idiot drivers on the road are kind of shocking sometimes.
Now think of everyone that's prescribed by a doctor to take Xanax every morning, or to take a benzo, for this or that, or take these painkillers. And I'm out of medical leave. I got to get myself to work.
Yeah.
And so they're driving these 4,000 pound death machines. The Teslas are like 6,000 pounds
on their phone, listening to the radio or whatever.
Zonked out of their mind, putting their makeup on. Yeah. It's amazing. We're actually, kudos to you, Wichita, and still shame on you, Atlanta. It's amazing there's not accidents everywhere. But that's the thing, is in Atlanta there are accidents everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, if you get on the highway, we had to be in Atlanta the other day, this week, and I put up my Waze, because Waze isn't always perfect, but it has the traffic updates on it. And I'm talking about the app Waze.
Mm-hmm.
And so I pulled up in my Waze, and I was afraid it was going to take us down 985 to 85, because that interstate system is like a direct shot artery from my location to downtown Atlanta, but it's always so congested, and there's like 6-7 lanes, and an HOV lane, and a toll pass lane, like where they can have their own lane because they pay for the pass. And people are just driving crazy. I get so stressed out. Well, it told me to go north. When I opened my Waze, it told me to go north and take 400, and I was immediately relieved. I was like, yes, 400 to Atlanta. I knew I was going to go out of my way for like 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, but I knew it was just going to be a more peaceful drive. And that's definitely a trade I'm willing to take. A peaceful drive that's maybe a little bit longer versus a straight shot where I'm dodging caffeinated, hungover crazies all morning. What are we into?
So what do you think is like, what's going on in the cockpit, so to speak, of those cars? Like, are they just oblivious? Like, or they think their skills are better than they are, or
There's a few things. There's actually a couple things happening right now that mine and your generation is witnessing. We're witnessing the decline of baby boomers because there was a giant population boom after World War II, and all of those baby boomers are fading out like now. They're starting to be old. They're starting to have the decline. And so they're driving slower or just worse, and they have slower reaction time. There's a lot of those on the streets, but there's even more younger drivers that were raised by the internet. And so they've had access to more and more influence. And I I honestly think they just don't care. Like it seems to be zero concern for the thousands
yeah.
of people around you.
But is that because they just don't, like, it just doesn't enter their mind that if you drive like this, you could literally end somebody's life. Like, you can cause major problems for yourself or someone else. Like, they just don't consider it because of like the Need for Speed, Grand Theft Auto kind of mentality? Or
Yeah, and maybe, you know, the technology has advanced so far, like they can't imagine a world without cell phones, and they can't imagine a world without the internet. And they don't know what a world of vehicles without airbags is, because like every vehicle now has an airbag that's on the road.
yeah,
And when me and you were kids, there were still clunky LTDs and Impalas and Novas all over the road,
yeah,
like that were made out of steel.
yeah.
And they were still around a lot. Like, I would say in the late 90s and early 2000s is when you first started seeing like the old box vehicles start to get off the road.
Yeah.
The old Buicks and Oldsmobiles.
Yeah. Think about the generation of people that didn't have seatbelts, didn't have airbags, steel, like it's a metal vehicle, right? Not plastic or fiberglass. Sitting in the back of the bed of the truck, or like we used to have an old station wagon.
Yeah.
They used to call it the way back cargo area, like folded up, and you would sit down in the like in the it's kind of like the wheel well area.
Yeah.
But they had those seats that went up like this. I don't remember if that had seatbelts or not, but yeah, it was a different.
There were no car seats.
Different world.
Like now, kids have to be in some type of booster seat, either a car seat or a booster seat, up until in Kansas, it's up until they're 8 years old or 50 pounds, right?
Yeah, something like that, which is crazy to me that an 8-year-old would be in a booster seat. But
well, I got a 7-year-old in one because in Georgia, it's 8 years old, period. Like you can have a young linebacker as a 7-year-old, but if he's riding in the car, he's got to be in a booster seat.
Yeah. Which I guess it's easy for me to look at that and be like, yeah, kids today are soft or whatever. But yeah, there's also like, that's also the era where you had ashtrays in the back seat or like in the doors.
Hell
like
yeah.
there was a time when they thought that it was cool for everybody in the car to be smoking. Like everybody needs their own ashtray.
Like even in the way back, like even in the back of the station wagons.
The smoke's for everyone.
We
smoke
know
if you got
that's
them.
just kids. It's either just kids or very short people that are going to be sitting back here. Put an ashtray back there. Where are they going to put their butt?
That's right. They might need to take the edge off. Let them kids smoke.
What about you? Anything? What's new? I mean, we're really dragging our feet. There's a couple of big things to talk about, but I want to catch up.
Say what?
I said we're dragging our feet a little bit because there's a bunch of big things to talk about, but I'd like to catch up.
Yeah. Well, I don't have too much new going on. I haven't. Oh well, last week I ran that 5K, got a personal record. That was pretty cool.
Saw that.
The night before I had gone out running the night before, just feeling pretty good. I haven't run yet this week just because of scheduling issues, and I just really don't like. I just don't like running when it's so humid, and it's been pretty humid.
Really?
Yeah, I think I might try to get out today, but I don't know.
How does your body do when you're running every day? Because I've tried that, and I know a lot of people do that, run every day, and I feel like that kind of wears me down a little bit, at least in my hips.
You know, I haven't had this problem in a while, but there for a while when I was running, like there was a time where I don't know that it was every day. It was probably every other day was 8 miles. And then on Saturdays was 20 miles.
Yeah.
So I was putting in quite a few miles. And there was a time when my knee was hurt, like the outside of my left knee was hurting pretty bad. Come to find out, I think it was a hip. I think it started in my hip. You've got a tendon that runs, maybe it's not a tendon. It's something that runs from the outside of your hip, kind of along the outside of your leg to your knee. So that had given me some problems, but otherwise I can pretty much run every day.
Really?
Yeah. It doesn't really impact me too much.
Man, I guess I'm just a weenie, but I have to push through a little bit of pain and my knee. Now it's my knee and my ankle and my hip, like just from the waist down, I guess.
Yeah.
It just feels that like just my joints feel tired. Like I feel like I have the physical stamina. I have the ability to go do it, but my knee is like, do we have to do this?
I kind of hate that people frequently, especially people older than me, will tell me that at some point I'm going to have to stop running, because it's so hard on your body and like hard on your joints, all that kind of stuff. And it makes me kind of sad. Like I don't want to bike. I don't want to do elliptical. I want to run. I enjoy running. That's what I want to do.
I don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't think we've had, and I'm not knocking them, but maybe just by necessity, I don't think we're just now seeing it to be normal to see a fit old person. Like when me and you were kids, a 50-year-old looked like how 70-year-olds look today. Like back then, if a 50-year-old would be in pretty bad shape. We're just now seeing what it looks like to see Jack 70-year-olds. RFK Jr.'s 70. I think he might be 71, but he's at least 70. And he's shredded. He's ripped. We didn't see that back then.
Honestly, man, I don't even remember what. So I'll be I'm going to turn 45 here in a couple of days. And I have no idea what who was 45 when I was a kid. Like I assume they must have been super old. But I don't feel like when I think of when I was a kid and I think of who the adults were, the old people were in their 30s.
Right.
Like those, all of my friends' parents were in their 30s. They were old. So I would be curious to see like, what would I have thought of a 45-year-old? Like, and what a kid's, my son calls me, old head, unk, old unk,
That's
all this.
nice.
Yeah, it's pretty, so I just wonder, like, do kids see us as old people, as old guys?
Absolutely.
You think so?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know, because I still feel like a young guy. I still feel like a kid.
Well, that's good, but and I like I said, in general, I feel like we're seeing the most people keeping it going. Like I saw a video of this 98 of I think she was 98, this 98-year-old lady doing the gymnastic beams, like the double horses where she's swinging her legs
Yeah.
around and doing that. Yeah, it was on
Holy cow.
She was performing for like this audience, and she didn't look like an Olympian right now,
Yeah.
but she was doing the thing, and she landed off, and she was like, raised
Props
her
to
hand.
her. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you have to do it smart, but if you just don't stop, because like a marathon used to be the most anyone could run is a marathon. Actually, in the story, I believe, of the first marathon, it was the messenger that King Leonidas sent from the hot gates to Athens to finally get Athens into the war when Greece was being invaded by Persia. That's like where the mileage of a marathon came from that story. And in the story, and this was a Spartan, he had run the 26 something or
26.
miles,
2.
26.2 miles, and when he got there, he collapsed.
26.1.
Okay, 26.1. When he got in there, he collapsed, told the story, and then died. Like that, the run had killed him, and this was a Spartan.
Yeah.
And so we used to think like the furthest anyone can run is a marathon, and now there's ultra marathons. There's these super ultra marathons. People are running 100, 200 miles. Like what the heck?
I think I told you. Did I tell you about that app that I think it was Under Armour? I had a running app a while back that you could enter contests. And it was based on maybe it wasn't as challenges. You would enter challenges, and let's say you enter a 50-mile challenge, and if you complete the miles, then you get entered into the contest. And I can't remember how it all worked, but this was when I don't remember how many miles I was running. Maybe it was like my long run was 8, whatever. But I would see people log like 50-mile runs or 100-mile runs, and I'd be like, bullshit. No, but you can't run that. Like these people must be driving. Like this is ridiculous. How are they entering the same contest I'm entering? And then come to find out, no, it's actually people actually do it. Yeah. Like you can, like it blew my mind. And this wasn't that long ago. I mean, this was within the past 10 years, probably. But I literally thought like, there's no way. How could you possibly run 50 miles? I guess it's a thing. And I actually want to do it. That's my goal is I want to run a 50-mile
ultra.
Yeah.
I'd like to do that too. There is a captain that me and you both know that I sent this to you.
Yeah.
A couple months ago, he texted me out of the blue. It was like, hey, because we're buddies on the Under Armour app. He was like, hey, check out my last run, or check out my run from the 12th or whatever it was. And so I go check it out. He proved me wrong because I didn't think this was possible because of this one detail. He had run in a high school loop, like just a track and field loop, over 40 miles. Like maybe it's 41, but it was over 40 miles. I didn't think it was possible because this is after I knew of Cam Hanes and David Goggins and stuff. So I knew people were running these ultra distances, but I was thinking, yeah, but they're running through the woods and they're running these super long courses. Like, okay, I can see doing that, like running up a mountain, up a trail. Yeah, I can see that. I didn't think you could do it. Like I thought
just run in a loop for 10 hours.
Run in a loop. I was like, no one has that mental fortitude. You can't do that. And by God, he did.
Sure enough. I wonder if that was that on his own, or was that like a race or
it was part of it. Yeah, it was an event.
Okay. So that's probably the thing I was going to ask you about. I know that there's some kind of, I can't remember what it's called, but there was some kind of event that is just like run until you drop, or like maybe it was a last man standing thing. I
Yeah.
think that's what, like, you just keep running until you can't, and then whoever runs the most wins or whatever. There was another one that was kind of like that. It was
I know you do too. I immediately think I would win in that. Like, oh, no matter what that is, I'm going to win.
No, I'm actually pretty sure I would not win. Like, I'm very confident in my abilities in most things, but I would not. I wouldn't last very long, I don't think.
Okay.
Not right now. Not right now. I do hope. So next week the weather's going to cool down, and I'm hoping to bump right now my long runs are 6. I'm going to bump those up to 10, make my short runs 6.
Dang, I'm gonna have to get on your running program.
Yeah, dude. Once it cools down, we're gonna start picking up some miles. But so there's an event that I think it was you could do the math, it'd be pretty easy. It's in a 24-hour period, and I think it's 4 hours you run. That's like 24. Dang it, what is it? 24 by 24 by 48. Does that sound familiar? Do you remember what I'm talking about? Because every 4 hours, maybe it's 24 miles in 24 hours, and every 4 hours you run 6 miles. That would work, right? So every 4 hours you run 6 miles, and you do that 4 times.
No, 4 miles. 4 hours for 6 miles is pretty slow.
I'm saying like you would run 6 miles, and then in 4 more hours you run 6 more miles.
Oh, okay.
In 4 hours you run 6 more miles. That's what it was. So it's a 24 by 24, and I don't remember what the other number stood for. But anyway, I thought that sounded kind of cool. I feel like that's something that would be fairly easily done.
Yeah.
Because toward the end of it, you'd probably be starting to get pretty fatigued, but you've got a minimum of 3 hours in between. Even if you're running 10-minute miles, you could run 6 miles in an hour, and then you've got 3 hours till the next.
So what are you doing in those 3 hours? Or maybe it's a combination of both. What have you done up to this to make it to where you can recover during those 3 hours, or during the 3 hours? What's your protocol between after you finish, but in the next one, or what have you done to make it to where you can recover your legs?
Just being a general badass.
Yeah. Just being hard as fuck.
I'm just relying on being a hard motherfucker to get
hard
through.
As nails. That's right. Okay.
So this specific event is at Sedgwick County Park, and so I gather there must be camping or some kind. I'm not sure how they do it, because I was wondering myself, like, what, do you just go home and come back, or like, are you just chilling for 3 hours?
And that's a 5-mile loop, isn't it, at Sedgwick County Park?
I don't know.
I think so.
Yeah, I don't know. So anyway, haven't really been running this week, but I plan to get back. Going to be taking I took my son up to Worlds of Fun last weekend, or I think that was last weekend. That was a good time.
Oh, sigh.
Yeah, big man. And it really was. It was just he and I. It was a good time of bonding. The drive was good. The conversation was good. He was, he just turned 13. So in fact, it might have been on this trip. It might have been on this same trip where he said, "Dad, if we need to fight, we can fight." And I'm just like, "Oh, really? Okay, tough guy." But what was cool is, like, as he's kind of growing into his teen years, and he's got all of this testosterone, and just, he thinks he's a badass. There were times on the trip where he was just like a little kid again, like just having fun and being silly. And that was neat, because I hadn't seen that in a while, because he's been this tough dude, if we need to fight, we can fight kind of guy for a little bit.
Woo. But you guys weren't fighting when, like, it wasn't during an argument. Oh, okay.
No, it's like he didn't like the way I looked at him or something. So he's just like, "Hey, Dad, if we need to fight, we can fight." Or I might
Okay.
have told him no or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's generally pretty quick to threaten, to go hands on.
Yeah.
Because he since he was a little kid, he's thought that he was a badass. Since he
Yeah.
was a little kid, he's thought that he could take on whoever.
That's weird. I wonder where he gets that from.
I don't know. It's so strange because I'm pretty realistic
yeah.
in what I think I can tackle.
Like fighting bears.
Whatever. Dude, did you see that Super Ray video I sent you with the bear where he's like, I just want to know what you're gonna do when this dude stands up.
Yeah.
Holy cow, man.
And what was your answer? Because he was bigger than a big bear.
Honestly, I'm just gonna die.
Yeah.
In that scenario, I'm just literally just gonna die. I'm gonna melt into the floor. Like just I'll kill myself if you want. You don't even have to kill me. I'll kill myself.
Man, I wanted to talk about the presidential debate, but there was this bear that was in multiple articles, and I used to Google it all the time. And I've never seen it in person, but it was at the Anchorage airport in Anchorage, Alaska. This bear attacked a guy and was mauling him pretty bad, and he was able to kill it with his pistol, or like some combination of weapons. What killed this bear? And it was a giant, like 12-foot on its hind legs kind of bear.
That's wild, by the way. 12 feet.
Absurd. That's absurd. And it was in they put it in the Anchorage airport, the stuffed bear, but they had found undigested body parts of other people in this bear's stomach, and had found multiple bullet holes, like multiple broken off arrow shafts. It was just a freak of nature. And this guy, luckily, and I can't remember the whole story, but I want to say he was doing a solo horse hunting trip, and so that's dangerous on its own, but I get the practicality of it because you need something to pack out it, because nothing out there is small. So if you kill something, you need some help packing it out, and horses can feed themselves and water themselves. He was up there on a solo horse hunt, or maybe it was a mule hunt, and was bow hunting, but since he knew it was Kodiak, so technically it's the same species as a grizzly bear, but Kodiak specifically, the brown bears around Kodiak Island are known to get giant because their diet consists mostly of salmon, like almost primarily of fish. So they get these super proteins, and it's been happening for thousands of years. So they get the genetics.
Yeah.
Like the bears here are just big. Was bow hunting. The bear charged him. Yeah, he shot an arrow at him. Arrow had zero effect. Got knocked back, or maybe swiped and knocked into a tree, and was getting attacked, and just unloaded a 45 at this bear's head, and one of it was finally able to break through and take this thing down, and then had to call his animal back and go to help because he was bleeding out on this Alaskan countryside. And when they got there, it was, like I said, they had done the investigation and found body parts in it. It was supposed to be a warning at the Anchorage, Alaska airport.
Yeah, this bear's just out here just being a menace to society.
Yeah, for real, a nightmare.
Yeah. Did you ever? There was a movie about some lions that were like that. Do you remember
Ghosts
that?
in the Darkness?
That sounds right. Where
Yeah.
these lions were just like
That's a
super
pretty true
aggressive.
story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a true story, and lots of people have lots of memories of it. It comes up on podcasts all the time because, like, the locals, and it's always worth believing the locals. Like, if the locals say something's there, there's something there.
Worth looking into.
Right. The locals had given these lions, they were brothers, and they were maneless lions. So in the movie, they had manes because maneless lions kind of look like bitches. But they were these super aggressive maneless lions that had learned that people were easy food targets. Like, it was when the Sahara was fading into the Congo and there was a food shortage for these lions, and they're like, these people don't run as fast as gazelles.
Yeah.
Let's go jack up these people.
Food shortage is over.
Yeah. So the locals had supernatural attributes. So like these brothers talk to talk to spirits and are demons or whatever. And I think in the memoirs of the hunter, because it was an English hunter who went down there and got him, in the memoirs of this guy, he had like made references to the local supernatural belief or supernatural suspicions about these lions. So did you watch the debate?
Dude, I wanted to. I had every intention of it. But it sounds like, from everybody that I've heard, like it sounds like both sides lost. Like neither of them were answering questions or really doing very well.
Yeah, but well, it was weird. It was a lot, actually. It was a lot. Short answer is I think if anyone took the win, it was Kamala Harris. If anyone's gonna say, because really no one has seen her talk until she was running for president the last time, and she was the first one to drop out before the primaries last time, and Tulsi Gabbard destroyed her in a debate, and her policies now are different than the policies that she was talking about back in 2020. And so no one has really heard from her since then.
Yeah.
So I think no matter what happened, it would have been a win for her if she would have gone out and, which she did, survive a debate and even get some in on Donald Trump, like even get him with a few lines. And you can tell 100% of everything she said was coached to her. You can tell she had rehearsed it. Like, this is the line. Like, when he says this, I'm gonna say this. She laid some pretty blatant traps for him. Like, the moderators, I felt like, I don't think it's extreme as a lot of conservative talks are making it sound like, but they were definitely favoring her. Like, they were fact checking him, and she said some big doozy lies, and they didn't mention the fact checks or the lies that she had said. And he had, I don't know if he misquoted or lied, but he said some things that I guess weren't true, and they were quick to point that out live on the debate. And they didn't do the same thing for her. Early on, they started with the economy, and she just didn't have an answer. She was like, it's going to be different under mine. There's going to be prosperity. She talked about helping small businesses. She talked about giving first-time home buyers a $25,000 bump. I'm like, isn't that just going to increase the houses by $25,000 everywhere?
Right. That seems like a pretty easy one to figure out.
Yeah. She talked about a lot of, another thing to consider is this is mostly for people who don't follow politics.
Okay.
Like, these debates are mostly for people, because these are for the undecideds. Like, most people are already decided.
Do you think that there's anybody that, by the way, I've got to jump off in 4 minutes, and I apologize for the early or the late notice on that.
Okay.
Do you think that there are people that really are not decided, and that the debate is actually going to have an impact on their decision?
I just got a message. I passed that test I was worried about earlier.
Nice.
I just found out.
Nice job.
What was your question? Are there people undecided? Yeah, I was kind of undecided up until RFK joined Trump's team.
Yeah.
I was, and Tulsi really cemented it for me. But I'll say this, I'm not a Trump fan. I think it's the choice between someone who will probably do nothing and someone who will do bad stuff, because I don't think Trump is going to be very effective. I don't expect him to keep a lot of the promises he made based off of his last presidency. He made a lot of promises that I respected in the last time, And granted, he was under attack the whole time, but he'll probably be under attack the whole time this time.
Yeah.
They're immediately going to try to impeach him. Well, while you're frozen, they're immediately going to try to impeach him. And the things that I wanted him to do were legalize marijuana and get rid of the NFA and shrink the federal government, specifically federal law enforcement.
Do you think he'll try to do the things he promises?
No, I don't think he'll be. Oh, well, I don't know. He's definitely going to make an attempt to fix the border. Because he did that last time. He's going to make an attempt to try to fix the border. That'll get sued and slowed down in Congress. He's going to make an attempt at fixing the economy, and I think just by him being the president will boost the economy, because I think that's what happened last time. Just him being there lowered the prices and, ease the pain. Something they talked about a lot in this debate, and even the moderators mentioned it. They were talking about how good the economy is, and that is still offensive every time I hear that. Like, just because the stock market isn't crashing doesn't mean that the economy is doing great.
Anybody who says right now that the economy is great or that it's better than it's ever been, you're living in a different tax bracket than I am. You've got different things going on than I do.
You immediately lose a lot of credibility with me. They started off, they gave him an opportunity to talk about Afghanistan right after they talked about the economy. And I was thinking, yes, he's about to mop the floor and I'm about to get up and fist pump. Well, they started off with her, and she, in retrospect, she was coached to do this. But she was like, well, we can talk about Afghanistan, but if you want to talk about Trump's crowd sizes, I'll let you know his crowds are small and people are walking away from it. And he was like,
and impotent. And he's like, wait a second.
He's like, excuse me. And
I've got something to say about that.
Yeah. I was like, dude, she laid a trap for you.
And he fell for it.
Walked
right into
his ego. And I think that's a cue to how he behaves. That is a cue to his behavior. Yeah. He's easily manipulatable. If you challenge his ego, he will go for it. And me and you might have seen some leaders like this, that their ego is sacred. And if there's one thing we're not going to do is challenge who the real authority is in this room. And obviously it is, because I said so. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I get the feeling that's kind of how he is. If anyone won, it was Kamala, but really the American people lost. That's what.
And continue to lose.
Yeah. You need to jump off?
Yeah, I got to bounce out of here.
That's fine. We need to call and catch up.
Yeah. Okay. I'm headed to an appointment now. Maybe I'll give you a call after that.
Okay. Sounds good.
Cool. All right, bro. See you
Bye.
later.